It was actually...
Hey, what's going on, craft beer professionals? My name is Chris Klein with Cascade Floors Inc., and we are proud members and sponsors of the CBP. Some of you know me, but for those who don't, I look forward to meeting you someday. If you run a brewery or a food production facility, you know your floors take a serious beating every single day. Well, that's where we come in. Cascade Floors has been in business for over 55 years. We bring over 200 years of combined experience to your job site every day. We never outsource labor. Our crews are full-time trained professionals. We have over 4.5 million square feet installed at over 480 breweries in 34 states and 3 countries. Those floors take a serious beating every day. Our floors are designed to handle tough conditions and withstand chemicals and hot water washdowns and serious heavy equipment use. Our floors are 100% non-pro-rated, 5-year warranty against debonding. If you're planning a new building, expanding, or just tired of patching those crappy floors, hit me up. We'd love to work with you.
Well, hello, welcome everyone. We are so glad you have joined us. I am Ashley Fox with Harvest Hosts, and we are so excited to just get to talk a little bit about the program. I'll give you kind of a quick recap of Harvest Hosts. We are a RV membership program, and we have over 500 breweries across North America that partner with Harvest Hosts. Let's see. It looks like there may be a little bit of a feedback issue. Are you guys hearing that? Let's see. Maybe let's try Ashley Paul. If you want to go on mute real quick, let's maybe see if we can fix some technology. Okay. All right. Look at that. We've got it all figured out. Then I think we can just come off of mute as we see fit. But anyway, so yes, I am Ashley Fox with Harvest Hosts. We're a unique RV membership program. We partner with over 5,000 small businesses across the U.S., including amazing breweries like we're going to hear from today. And so it's a pretty unique program. Our members are RVers, and they stay overnight at the businesses that we partner with. So you can think amazing farms, wineries, breweries, distilleries all across North America. And they stay overnight in exchange for a safe place to stay. They patronize the business that they're staying with. So, rolling up to a brewery, they'll grab a pint, maybe a burger or things like that. And we're really proud of our program. We love we call our small business partners hosts that are all over across North America. So we have 2 of our phenomenal hosts today that are going to share a little bit about their experience on the platform. Paul, would you like to come off of mute and introduce yourself first? Tell us a little bit about PALS.
Well, I always say ladies first. So if Ashley'd like to go, I will cede the floor to her. Otherwise, my name is Paul Ottinger. I'm the co-founder, head brewer, head janitor, jack of all trades for PALS Brewing Company in North Platte, Nebraska. And thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it. Do you want me to tell you a little bit about Harvest Host now and how we use it, or you just want to should I just make an introduction?
Yeah, just tell us a little bit about PALS. Tell us about your brewery first.
Okay, well, this is kind of one of those family businesses gone wrong, if you will. My brother and sister-in-law asked me, about 11 years ago now, on a visit to North Platte. They lived in a small town called Hershey next door to North Platte. And they said, North Platte really needs a brewery, and you've always wanted to open a brewery. So why don't you quit your jobs and move out to the middle of nowhere and start a brewery? What a fantastic idea. And I said, no, I like Madison, Wisconsin. So we opted not to do that. And the next year for Thanksgiving, we came out and same question. Hey, let's open a brewery. So we said yes. We quit our jobs. We opened a brewery in North Platte. We just had our 9-year anniversary last week on St. Patty's Day. And we joined up with Harvest Hosts. It's been so long. I would say maybe 6-7 years ago that we became a host. And I had a nice picture that I had sent to Ryan, but unfortunately with Ryan having technical difficulties, it shows my site and kind of where our camper area is. And we're on 10 acres, so we have lots of room for RVs to come and stay. And we're about a 4-minute drive off I-80, so really super convenient for travelers to find us. And it's been a blessing because we get people from essentially the 48 continental states, Canada. We had our first visitors that I met from Mexico last summer. And it's been a blessing just to meet people from all over the country that stop and they're just looking for a place to rest and have a meal and let their dogs run and let their kids run and not have to drive afterwards. So it's been a really great partnership for us, and it's brought us a lot of really cool business.
Well, Paul, congratulations on the anniversary, and what a more perfect day to celebrate than on St. Patty's Day. I'm sure it was busy for multiple reasons.
Yes, it was. We had our local live Irish band that we have every single year on St. Patty's Day. It was a really cool because, especially with all the wildfires going on, we started a local chapter of a new foundation called the First Responders Foundation. And so we had about 20 firefighters in, and we had about 5 or 6 police officers in. We had some county commissioners, and we had a nice ceremony. We got our charter. So it was a super, super cool night. It was definitely worth a toast from America's largest craft brewery, which was the only thing I could find at the gas station on the way to Marysville, Kansas. That was a craft beer.
Well, very fair. Well, we're glad that you could join us. I promise I'll celebrate a little later today. So
it's my day off. Sorry.
Well, we appreciate you joining us today. Ashley,
my pleasure.
This is, I think, a second time that we've done one of these. Tell us a little bit about your location.
Hi, I'm Ashley Meyer-Howe. So I own Farmcraft Brewery located in Sheldon, New York, which is in the western part of New York. We sit right on Route 20A, which is a major thoroughway from to New York City, New Jersey, all in Canada. We sit about 40 minutes from the Peace Bridge in Buffalo. So we sit on a 320-acre farm. So I'm a 5th generation farm owner of the land. I have 3 sisters, and I have 1 sister that also lives on the family's land. So we are a fairly new brewery. We opened in November of 2024. We joined Harvest Hosts right after that. So we've been having Harvest Hosts for the last 14 months. Our brewery is a full working farm brewery as well. And so we're a New York State brewery liquor license. So we also carry all New York State wines, beers, and liquors. We sit on the 3,000 seated sunflower field. So in the summertime, when we have all the Harvest Hosters, we just have like a beautiful setting for people to run and gather. I don't know. I didn't have an event on St. Patrick's Day because we are closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. So I don't have any good stories to tell Paul about any green beer. But
the bane of all brewers.
Yeah, fair enough. We did do some green cocktails though. We also do we do a ton of events. So our building is 11,000 square feet. We have a 2,000 square feet mezzanine for private events, and then we have a private first floor room as well. So a lot of our events gather in people that we do a ton of baby showers, bridal showers, weddings, all those sorts of things. So we get a good calling for that as well. And the Harvest Hosts, what's advantageous for us is that we are on a main road right off of it. So like travelers, we get a lot of travelers headed to Canada and New York City and just like across the country. So we're delighted to have partnership with Harvest Host.
Well, awesome. I know both of your locations very well, not necessarily from getting to visit quite yet. Although I was telling Paul and Ashley, both of their locations are on my Harvest Host bucket list. So hoping to visit very soon. Ashley, I'd like to start with you first. If you can tell us a little bit about what made you decide to join Harvest Host.
Sure. So our 320-acre farm is obviously like the ideal location for people to park at. So we have multiple spots and locations for people to gather. And also we sit in Sheldon, New York, which is probably an area you've never heard of. The closest town is Buffalo, New York, which is about 25 minutes from our location. And I think the reason that we joined Harvest Host is that our brewery is like a community gathering center. So this weekend right now in New York State is New York State Maple Weekends. So this past Saturday and Sunday, we had just thousands of guests that come out to visit. So our family also makes maple syrup. So on the farm, we have a fully working maple sugar shanty and evaporator. So my parents were boiling all day yesterday and on Saturday. And so we see Farmcraft as a community gathering center anyways. And so we love having people that are not locals obviously Harvest Host, but we do actually have a lot of local Harvest Host members that come and drive their RVs and spend the day with us and then stay out in the yard. So we just see this as like a part of, meeting new people. And like, that's what Farmers Craft is all about, is just making connections and community. So we're delighted, and that's why we joined.
I love that. I mean, from baby showers to Harvest Host to maple syrup. I mean, it's one-stop
All
shop.
the things. Yeah, all the things.
Awesome. Well, Ashley, I'm going to come back to you. I promise. You want to go ahead and go on mute. I love what we have. I mean, we have, very different perspectives, right? Paul, you were saying the Pals has been on the platform for quite a while. Ashley, Farmcraft is fairly new, although it seems like you're pretty seasoned at this point. But Paul, if you can, remember way back when, I'm sure it feels like a while ago, tell us about why you decided to join Harvest Hosts.
We just thought it was a great way for us to bring new customers to the brewery. When we opened, we were the first new restaurant to open in North Platte, I think, for quite some time. So we were kind of like the shiny new penny for the first couple of years, and we had great local support. But we were looking for a way to attract people off of I-80, and when they I think maybe they sent us an email and kind of described the program, and we saw that and we were like, hey, that sounds really cool. Like, we have this extra lot to the south of the brewery that we don't do anything with. So maybe that'd be a great place for Harvest Host people to park. And so we decided to sign up and try it out. And what was impressive to me, we weren't sure exactly what to expect when we joined, because I think Harvest Host was maybe in its first year or two of starting. And so we just weren't sure what we were going to get. And we thought, well, there's a possibility that it's just going to be people looking for a really cheap place to stay. And then we were pleasantly surprised when we have these massive Class A rigs coming off of I-80 to stay. And these things are, I mean, people are traveling with $500,000 worth of gear. They don't need a cheap place to stay. They're looking for a cool place to stay, actually. They're looking for an experience. And many are self-proclaimed like brewery travel nerds. Like, they specifically seek out breweries to stay at. Those are some of the most fun people always, because you can really, get in deep with the craft beer details. And then we get traveling business people. We get people who are moving from one place to another. We get people who are a lot of, hey, we travel this route every year to visit our son in Colorado. So it's interesting. Ashley was saying she was in the middle of nowhere. She's 40 minutes from Buffalo. Okay, let me explain where North Platte is. We are 3 hours and 15 minutes west of Lincoln, Nebraska. We are 3 hours east of Cheyenne, and we are 3.5 hours from downtown Denver on the interstates. In between, the largest city is about 75,000. So in North Platte, we are the county seat. It's about 25,000. But beyond that, the next kind of decent sized city, if you will, is Kearney, 90 miles away. So we're kind of like one of those ideal locations where people are ready to stop, and we have a full service restaurant. We have 18 craft beers on tap. We have a big outdoor recreation area. So it's just been, and we have, now we have a dog park where people can run their dogs. We've always been dog friendly on leash, but we thought, what about an off leash area where people can run? We had an extra 4 acres north of the brewery that we had acquired a couple of years ago and just have events on it essentially. So we thought, hey, that'd be a great use of that property. And so, yeah, we were just totally blown away by the quality of the travelers that we got stopping at the brewery, and they were spending a lot of money, and it's just been a great addition to our business. And of course, you get to meet the most unique and interesting people, great people. So did we lose Ashley?
I think we did. But it looks like she's going to try and kind of come back in today. Technology, we're figuring it out today. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Sounds like a good time for a beer.
I agree, Paul. I think that's good.
Go ahead, Ashley.
No, I was just going to say, I love, kind of talking about how Obviously there was this opportunity, right? Especially I think, breweries that are along, major highways certainly see, really great traffic for members as well too. So, one thing that I've seen, I've worked now at Harvest Host for over 4 years at this point, and I love that it works for all of these different kinds of breweries, right? And so, sometimes it can work for a brewery who has, very small parking lot and they can only accept the vans. And then in some case, right, like in your case, you might have a little bit more extra land. And so you're able to accept those bigger RVs. And so I think it's really interesting how, the program, one thing that we try to really stress, and you tell me this, is, how can the program work for all of these different types of breweries, right? And it sounds like you guys are really taking advantage because you have this extra space, you have all these extra amenities, dog park and things like that.
I've talked to other smaller hosts who do. Ashley, can you mute for a second? I've talked to smaller hosts who they do only have parking for one or two. And for them, they really look to Harvest Host to kind of maximize just getting a few customers through the door. Let's say it's a small winery and they don't have a lot of parking space. I've talked to some of those folks, and it's interesting. They spend a lot of time curating experiences to these travelers who are coming. And so they may have a special wine tasting for them. They may have special meal at a certain time. They're doing a lot of things to try and kind of maximize the value to the traveling customer. And then you have us, who's basically the exact opposite. We basically try to provide an environment where you can come and do your own thing. And we don't, if you schedule and then you cancel, like we not only do we not care, we may not even know. So we will have people message us, "Oh, we're so sorry we have to cancel." And we're like, I mean, that's okay. We have 8 Harvest Hosts tonight and they're all going to be there doing their thing. So we try to make it very low key, very low stress. We don't put any pressure on our customers to spend a certain amount, and we get a wide variety. We'll have some folks who will come in, they'll buy a couple pints, maybe they buy a pint glass, maybe they get a small pizza to share, and they kind of maybe are on a travel budget, I would say. So we get those, and that's fine. And then we get the folks who come in and they're going to basically have pints all night. They're going to eat a very big meal and try like 3 or 4 different items. They're going to buy t-shirts. They're going to buy 8 crawlers to go. They're going to rack up a $225 bill with us and do so happily, because at a local hotel, they would have spent $160 for a quality room. And so they feel like they're getting value for their travel dollars. Because they're getting an experience, and that's exactly what they want. They want good to great to excellent beer. They want a good food experience, awesome service, cool people to tell their story to. So it's Harvest Host has been very interesting for us. It's one of the most enjoyable programs that we partner up with, actually, because I'm a people person, as you can tell, so I enjoy all the stories from travelers.
Yeah, it's fun how it's essentially kind of created this little community, right? And so, we love getting to hear obviously from the hosts and the stories that members have, and when they cross over, right? And so that's my favorite part, when we get to kind of connect with the different hosts and hear all of these amazing stories. So, Paul, I'm going to ask you a question. I'll come back to you, but start thinking about your favorite moment. Or a story with a Harvest Host member. So, but Ashley, I'll kick that over to you. Paul and I have kind of been talking a little bit about, who are these travelers, right? And, what are they kind of typically spending? But, what's your experience been with members over the past 14 months?
Kind of like what Paul said, is that like I monitor it and I accept and I approve like on, the app for people. But when people don't show up, like, I don't have time. We're just too busy to monitor, or, we obviously, are interested when they come and like to listen to them and talk to them. But like if people cancel, like we're not putting them a 1-star review, which might happen. Like it is what it is. So we're happy when people come. And if they travel plans change, we understand that. I think the majority of people, which kind of surprises me, well, not surprises me, I guess, it's older retired couples that are traveling. And so they buy this RV, like this is their second stage of life, and they're just like traveling across the country. And to Paul's point, they typically have a lot of money to spend, which is wonderful. I mean, I don't think we've ever had anyone stay that hasn't, spent quite a deal of money at Farmcraft. So we're grateful for that. We do get, we do get families as well, but families, with small children or middle-aged children, like kids have lives, and they're not necessarily traveling the country in their RV. So I would say, I've never taken an official study. This is just my unscientific thoughts that like the majority of people that own, $200,000 RVs are not in their 30s and 40s.
I think you're making a good point. Most of our members, are maybe in the top range of the age kind of demographic. And that's one of the concerns that we hear from the different partners is, is this going to be a party crowd? Yeah, Ashley, if you want to just mute, well, yeah, thanks. We'll get this figured out, I promise. But that's one of the questions that we hear a lot on the recruiting side is, are these going to be members who, are showing up? They're going to, party incessantly. They're going to be, crazy loud and things like that. But typically, again, most of them are falling into a little, on the older spectrum, and hopefully they're being, more respectful and things like that. And so, obviously, like you mentioned, there are families that are traveling. They'll do the big RV road trip and things like that. But that is a question that we get a lot. And so I'm curious, from both of your ends, if, what you've kind of touched on already, Ashley, like what are some of the members, what are some of those experiences that you're having with them? We can talk about the good and the bad today as well.
I mean, I don't really have any bad stories to share. We've only had beautiful experiences with Harvest Host members. I mean, everyone, like I said, everyone comes in and spends and is kind and generous. And I think like maybe the only comment that I would say is that like sometimes they throw stuff in our dumpster. So like that can be annoying for a business owner because like you're paying for garbage removal. So when they decide to throw out like all of their week's garbage in your, whereas at like an RV park, like that's part of your fee is that you have a garbage removal fee. So that's just like something that if there's any new members that are looking to have Harvest Host, that might be something that you just put on your thing. Like dumpster is not for Harvest Host member use. Obviously like a very small thing, but if we're talking, since we want to make sure that everyone knows there's some negatives.
Yeah, I've dealt with the trash thing a few times, I have to say, but I always figure if they're not filling up my dumpster and they only throw what they generated on site, then it's not such a big deal. But yeah, if they bought a bunch of things and all of a sudden you're finding all this huge styrofoam stuff and cardboard boxes and, because they'll go tubing in North Platte and they'll buy stuff and they'll have all this trash from things that they bought, which is cool that they're going out and supporting the local recreation. But we do fill up our dumpsters very, very full in the summer, and I would like to not spend more money on an extra one. So,
and I think that's totally fair. And certainly something, we want to make sure that is clear, right? And one of the things about the program too is, we want to make this as easy and friendly, right? Paul, you were kind of talking about this, how maybe some smaller hosts will have very curated experiences. Sounds like, both of you are a little more kind of relaxed, right? You guys have your operation and it's just kind of fitting into that. One of the things that I will say is we do have a fully staffed customer service team along with a host success team as well too. And so they're always there to be able to support if there is, a member, right, that maybe is has misbehaved or things like that. We have a pretty strict, strike rule. And so we want to make sure that the members that are ultimately being sent to our host locations are providing a great experience as well too. But Paul, I did love what you said about, supporting the local community as well too, right? Because, one of the things that we love to kind of talk about with our host locations is obviously, they're staying overnight at that host location, but they probably also need to, stop at the gas station, right? And fill up on gas. And they probably need to restock their groceries. So they'll go to the local grocery store as well. And so, a lot of places, right? Like, as you've mentioned, maybe it's a little harder to get to both of your locations. it's providing a place for these members to stop, to be able to spend their dollars not only at your host location, but hopefully also at the local businesses as well too. So yeah, I think that's the one really special thing about the members. They're looking for those, those local experiences and those local connections. So Paul, I asked you this earlier. Ashley, I'm going to ask your favorite story as well too. But Paul, as you're kind of thinking about, I'm sure you have many as you think over the years, but what's your favorite Harvest Hosts member story?
Well, I like to listen to the Grateful Dead and always have. And I was at my computer and I try to browse the names of the Harvest Host people as they come in once a day. Just, I don't know why. I guess I just want to see if I recognize anyone. And one day I saw the name Jill Lesh come across my email that comes, and I thought, Jill Lesh. I only know one Lesh in the world. So then I got on Google and I started Googling Phil Lesh's wife, and it said Jill Lesh. And so then there was another guy who worked at the brewery at the time, and I told him about it because he was also a Grateful Dead guy. He was originally from Colorado and has moved back there since. And so he was like, do you think it is? And I'm like, I have no idea who it doesn't give us any more information. It doesn't say they're traveling with Phil Lesh, but his wife's name is Jill. So, and Phil is the bassist for the Grateful Dead, or was, R.I.P. Phil. And so, sure enough, we get an email not from Jill Lesh, but from their assistant, basically, that, kind of handles their travel plans, if you will. And she was asking if, we had appropriate social distancing things in place, because this was kind of late COVID, I would say. And Phil had been doing a show out in the New York area with the band, with his band, and they were just traveling back, and their members are Harvest Host. And but Phil had transplants, so he really, needed to make sure that he wasn't going to get sick. And so we were like, yep, no, we have social distancing in place, and we can, get you whatever you need, and no one will bother you. And so they came in, and they didn't come in till like 4 a.m. And the next day we were like, man, are we going to get to see him? And sure enough, at one point, Phil actually did come into the brewery, and he kind of, stood back, and he ordered some crowlers of beer. I don't think they got any food, because I think Jill had him on a pretty strict diet at that time.
Sure.
And so anyway, eventually me and the guy that I had told you about that was also a Dead fan, ended up being able to go out by his RV, his coach, if you will. And we got photos with him. He's holding up Pal's Crowlers. And so, yeah, I got to meet Phil Lesh through a mask, albeit he was really, really like concerned about making sure he didn't get COVID at the time. So I'm not going to say it was the most personable or long visit. It would have been cool if it weren't for COVID. It would have been a lot cooler, I should say. It was still pretty fun anyway. So yeah, that's probably my most fun story, getting to see one of your music heroes at your own place.
I mean, that is a very impressive story. I don't know if I can promise anyone else on the call today if they're going to have a celebrity Harvest Host member stop by, but man, what a cool experience, and how cool for your brewer as well too, that you guys are, fans, and, got at least a little connect, even though maybe not as personal as maybe it would have been today.
Well, it was kind of funny. We never actually posted that to our Facebook page. I'm just kind of not that way, even though it was cool. It was kind of just for me. But when he did pass, I was able to make that picture at least my, what do they call it? Your main picture for the day?
Oh,
your profile pic. Yeah,
yeah.
I was able to put that pic up as my profile pic. So that was kind of fun.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I love that. Ashley, I mean, I'm not saying you have to have a celebrity story by any means.
Oh, I can't beat that. I don't know if anyone famous has come from Harvest Host. We did have this one really cool couple. I forget where they were from. I think out west, but their vehicle, Paul like named like Class A or something. When those things come in, like, guys, I'm not an RVer myself, so like I don't know what all those letters mean. I'm like, how big are they? We have plenty of space, no worries. But we did this one couple that came and they had this massive, like, army looking truck vehicle thing. The wheels were I'm 6 foot tall. The wheels were as tall as me. They were and they had like stickers. He had a whole Instagram following, and he was like, you gotta come check it out. And we're like, okay, like maybe like when the shift ends, like we can't come out right now, like we're too busy serving people. And so we did, and it was just like they were just like a cool vibe. They like sold their lot, like one, just like a story of like left their corporate careers. We're like, we're gonna travel the world. And I was while you're all talking, I was trying to think of the name of what their Instagram page was, but I can't think of it right now. But just like cool people living their dream in this giant vehicle. I did question, that was when gas wasn't as high as it is right now, but I did ask, like, how many miles do you get in this gallon? And he was like, well, like
Depends
6.
if you're in California, New York, or Nebraska.
So that they were cool people.
I love that. Yeah, I think this also represents, right, a good different spectrum of all of the different people that you can meet. And, one of the things I've stayed at, several different host locations. I will say I'm a little biased, but the breweries are definitely my favorite. It's always nice to be able, at the end of the day, right, be able to, go inside the tap room, get to meet folks that I again wouldn't have had an opportunity to maybe cross paths with, swap stories, and just know that I can drink as much as I want because I'm headed right back to the parking lot and I'm gonna be able to snooze right afterwards. So
that's just like a regular day for a brewery owner, though. If you wanted to.
Obviously, we've got some different breweries across the US who, may have heard about Harvest Host before, but, maybe necessarily haven't pulled the trigger yet to join. What would, Paul, let's start with you. What would be, your recommendation, your, words to those folks?
Well, unless you're camping, parking spots for RVers is going to conflict with your business, like patron parking. If you have the space, even if it would only fit a Sprinter van, you'll have people who will actually come in their Sprinter van and they'll spend a bunch of money at your brewery and they'll park there and it doesn't cost you a thing. So after having been in the program as long as we have, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like I said, provided you're not interrupting your only parking available for patrons, which could definitely be the case with some small breweries. So but I say just go ahead and join because it's free, it's not complicated. You can make it as complicated and as full of options as you want, or you can make it lackadaisical like we do and essentially just, hey, whoever shows up, it's going to be a party.
Gonna have a good time. Ashley, what would be your advice?
Same as Paul, just join. There's nothing negative about it. Costs you nothing, brings people in, you park them, they park themselves. So no harm.
And I'll add to that, we really haven't had a lot of challenges with, let's say, negative review type situation. It's so unfortunate to live in this weird review happy world, especially as a small business owner. If there was one thing I could change about Harvest Host, it would be to get rid of the numerical ranking and only have comments from people who have stayed with their story of like, hey, I stopped at this place. This was amazing. Beware of this. Because then you could actually read through people's experiences and not just chalk it up to a number. We really haven't had a lot of people stay that have given negative reviews. If they got bad service, let's say in a restaurant, or maybe their pizza wasn't quite right, or the things that can happen. We really haven't run into that situation with Harvest Hosters. They are so appreciative to be able to use your space for the night. And these are some of the kindest people that are just literally looking for great experiences, that they are very generous with their ratings. So I see that as actually an advantage for your business. So it's not just the money, it's good for your reputation, I think, as well.
I just gonna piggyback on you, Paul. So like the Harvest Host, like for those who don't know, it's a separate rating, like in the Harvest Host app. But I think and so if you're not a Harvest Host member, you can't see that rating. So like my one suggestion is when people say like a lot of Harvest Hosters will say, like, oh, we'll give you a 5-star. It's been so great. I'm always like, awesome. Can you give it to us on Google as well? Because Google ratings are what drives business that are not Harvest Hosters. So I'm always like grateful for all the 5-star reviews from the Harvest Host app. But like we don't really have to work to bring people in for Harvest Host. People are going to just come in. So I think it's like, I do agree with what Paul's saying is like when people leave comments, it's much nicer because then you can learn about their experience as opposed to 5 stars. But like the Harvest Host data in regards to ratings is not accessible to the general public.
Yeah. And I only say that because, I read all of our ratings, unfortunately, just because if, things are going south, I need to be able to take action, unfortunately, because as much as it'll drive you crazy, just like Untapped ratings, right? Anybody's individual review is not worth the paper it's written on. But in the collective, if you start hearing, more comments in a certain direction, like that's where I get pause, where if I'm like, boy, we're getting a lot of negative service, did we hire someone new? Are they not properly trained? Those things are clues. And I do love getting the ratings on Harvest Toast as well. But I will second what Ashley said. Google and TripAdvisor are really driving more of the business. I'd say TripAdvisor more from a ego point of view and Google for actual business.
Well, and actually, I think that's a great point as well, too, is you can leverage, right, the Harvest Host members, your maybe your non-local patrons or things like that to help boost, right, some of those other places. And so I love that, obviously it's great of them, to make sure that they're, sharing about their experience within the app. But, if there's also that opportunity as well, too, to say, hey, help us out on Google as well. And, have your little QR code to, make it super easy for them. I love that. And so I think that's one of the, unique things is, obviously it's a marketing platform, right, for the small businesses, obviously within the Harvest Host app. But, one of the things that I've heard actually about both of your locations is a member saying, oh, you need to stay here because I had this incredible experience and, it was incredible. And so that's also like members are talking to each other as well. We have 250,000 RV members in the platform, and they're constantly looking for those unique experiences to say, hey, I stayed at this, super cool brewery. It was amazing. It had everything that my, heart could content, and being able to really leverage those experiences both within the app to elevate your profile, but also outside as well too, in the Googleverse. So I love it.
Yeah,
Well,
RVers really, especially there's a certain contingent of them. They like to get together with their fellow RVers and gossip and see where people are from, and they're travel enthusiasts, right? And so these are your greatest ambassadors out there in other states where you are not at. And I can't tell you, I couldn't even count how many people come in and say, oh, I heard about you through another Harvest Hoster, and they were like, hey, you got to go check out this brewery in the middle of nowhere. And it's really an amazing time. And they have this and they have that, and there's plenty of parking and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure Ashley probably gets the same thing. And so we get a lot of referrals that aren't even because they found us on the app. They're word of mouth, which is to me the best.
And which I think speaks of both of your locations as well, too, that you both are, creating this amazing environment for those members who are so excited about the experience that they had that they want to share it with others. So, Ashley, I think you we're going to say something. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I actually did have a question. So you said that, just like for those of you that might be watching that don't know, so Harvest Host, you said 25, how many members does the Harvest Host app have?
250,000.
Okay, 250,000. So like, what is the data in regards to how many, like, are there members that use Harvest Host 365 days of the year? Like these people that we were talking about that every night they're sleeping at a Harvest Host site? Like, I'd be curious to like see that data just in regards to like how many memberships It's just it actually has nothing to do with our business. I'm just was like curious.
Yeah. So, great
I bet
question.
there are some.
Yeah, there definitely are. Yeah, there's, folks who are right that RV life is it's their way of life. They are full-time RVers on the road. They'll spend a couple months in, the South when it's a little colder, and then they'll, make their way up north, and you can actually see a little bit of harvest host migration, if you will, depending on weather, right? Paul, I'm sure you're seeing, as summer is opening up, there's probably a lot of that cross country, action that you're seeing, especially being so close to the highway. And yeah, I've met members actually who literally use the program every single day. They're not just staying at Harvest Host locations. They may also stay with our sister program, which is Boondockers Welcome, which is where you can stay at private residences across North America. We also have campgrounds within our system as well too, and sometimes they'll stay there. But for the most part, a lot of those full timers, they really enjoy those experiences. And so it's really a full gamut. Like I was saying, some are, full-time RVers, some will use it, as their stops along the way. But honestly, I found it to be, again, one of the best experiences to kind of cut short a very long day of travel, right? You get to point A to point B, maybe my destination is a little further down the road, but being able, again, to know that as a RVer, you have a safe place to stay, to know that you're going to get to be able to support, local business and, be able to support their story as well too, is really incredible experience. And so, yes, Ashley, the full gamut, right? Like you said, you've had, folks who maybe are retired, or you, have seen like, families as well too. I've actually, it was a much larger rig, but I heard of a member who had 3 generations in their rig, and they, wanted to do the Great American Road Trip, and they, packed up in an RV, and they stayed at Harvest Host locations along the way, and they just got to see some absolutely incredible places in the country. And so, I want to thank both of you for, being able to provide those families and our members with those incredible experiences. I know they love getting to be a part of your story as well too. Now, I know that we are getting close to time. Ashley, I'll pass it over to you first. Anything maybe that I forgot, anything I didn't ask you today that you want to make sure that other breweries across North America know about Harvest Hosts?
I think I'm good, but best of luck to everyone. Join up. It's a cool program.
Yes, and we call it RV parking, not RV camping, because you really don't have to have any hookups or anything of any kind. Just a space for someone to park is all you need. And actually, we were in the county at the time we joined up, and my county zoning person said, "Oh no, you're zoned for parking. They're not camping. It's just like parking in the Walmart parking lot, which they do in the city all the time." So that's how you can approach it with your zoning person. If you happen to be in the city, it's not camping, it's just parking.
That's that's a great point, Paul. That's a lot of, one of the questions that we typically get is, okay, if I have to have RVers, I have to be a campground, I have to have hookups, I have to have all of these things. But beautiful thing about our members, they're all self-contained. They're supposed to have bathrooms on board, they have their own water on board, so they can, really just park for the night, as you were saying. So
You just be cool. Just be cool for your customer, and that's really the only thing you have to provide, honestly, and a space for them to park, and that's it.
I love it. Well, if there is, any brewers today that are interested in learning more about Harvest Hosts, you can visit our website, harvesthost.com/hosts. If you have any questions at all, you can also email hosts@harvesthost.com. We'd love to get you in contact with our team. Obviously, you've heard from Paul and Ashley today. They first of all, have amazing breweries, are creating amazing experiences for their local communities, and now for Harvest Host members as well too. And we would love to have even more breweries on the map. So Thank you so much again, Ashley, Paul. Absolutely incredible to always talk with our hosts. And thank you for everything you're doing for your local communities and for Harvest Host members. And I hope our paths will cross very soon.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, they can always message me or email the brewery. I'll get it if you have any questions, and I'm an open book. I'm happy to answer, and if it helps you, awesome. Thanks for having us on, Ashley. Nice to meet you, Ashley.
You as well, Paul.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye now.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this session, we'd love to see you in real life. We host in-person workshops across the country for craft beer professionals just like you that are held in some of the most exciting beer destinations around. These immersive events are designed to help you grow and connect with others. You'll meet peers from across the country and leave with actionable strategies for success. Connection has never been more important, and you can learn more at cbpconnects.com. Cheers. See you there.